Well, that didn't work. Oh, man. Why do I have a random... Oh, right. Because everything's... Yeah, okay. Aye. Alrighty. I've decided to stream this because it's been a while since I've done a mission dev stream, and I just recently cleaned out the entirety of my footage backlog and decided what to keep and what not to, so I've got multiple terabytes free now. Instead of having all my drives free, because people commented when they saw that in a previous stream, hey, your stuff's really full, you should really clean that out. I'm like, I know. I've been meaning to get to that. But we finally got around to it. Okay. We don't want to clear out the arsenals, we want to clear these out. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out this one, though. That's on... Yeah. You still elude me. Now, I could probably write a script instead that clears the inventory out every 30 seconds, but I want to see if there's a way to do that instead.
Send in Goat Team 6 now.
Oh,
Liru,
is
go
that
to
how it's
bed.
written?
Bed, sleep. Closed eyes. Tomorrow, regret.
But Revanche, why leave something that could be done today for tomorrow? That's the regret in itself there, but nonetheless, thanks for the 48-month resub. That gets you, if I recall correctly, the diamond. Actually, it shows it right there. Why am I trying to remember? The Diamond Lance Corporal badge. I hope you keep enjoying the operations, and I do hope you get a nice kick out of this little dev stream. But I'm up because look, I'll admit, for the past, month and a half, I've been suffering from some pretty heavy cases of insomnia. And it sucks. But I'm just gonna make use of the time. You know what I mean? What can I do at that point? Let's see, set those variables. I'm gonna have a backup one of you because knowing the player base, they'll always find a way to somehow scuff that up, so we'll put the backup right there. And those should all be set proper. Alright. Now, for the fun of everything. Guess I'll keep up with chat right here. We'll start from the top. Mutton, how you doing? What am I doing up at this time? Streaming. Someone saying the word bully. Nice. And yeah, Will, I'm up pretty late. But hey, if you're all up late, and I'm up late, and you're asking me why I'm up late, why are you all up so late? You know what I mean? Time zones, right? Ah, man. So, some interesting news. Icebreaker told me that if I literally just export these as Terrain Builder, I could technically release the PBOs I make of map conversions onto the Steam Workshop. And then I can just list TIOW, Grimdark, and the map in question as dependencies. So that would be cool. Because I've done it for a few maps in the past. I can go out and redo strategies because I'm having a massive influx of orders for 40k. And I don't know how long it's going to last, but the reason I hate doing 40k orders is, or at least in the past, is because I could never make the maps legitimate. So I finally went, screw it, I'll just do it myself, and that's what I've been doing. I've been doing it myself. But anyway, so I have a massive custom template there. This is for POG on Thursday. They wanted Ducadian stuff, so I switched them to PDF equivalent of Cadian. They don't really get that much, but they like the Commissar kit, so I'll keep that. We're going to have an RTO for the air asset, which is just going to act as a 2IC. And then we've got the officer right here. That's going to be in charge. I've got 8-man teams, but these are backup slots in case things get full, because I know POG usually doesn't go beyond 20, 25 players. So I built a roster kind of around that, with 2 support vehicles, a pilot, and then the Zeus slot, which I've just made a copy of the Commissar kit with an LR radio. Let's see. Now, I guess for our first AO, let me actually make a scope here for what this AO is going to entail. POG ops I generally want to last an hour and a half to 2 hours, so I guess the proper way to do that would be an AO like this, and we just see how much they clear out. So if that's going to be the case, I need to look into the towns over there. That should be fine. Yeah, if you need to go to sleep, go to sleep. But I'm going to be honest with you, I would literally lay in bed probably for another 3 to 4 hours before I'd finally fall asleep, and then I'd wake up anywhere from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Which is why I'm up streaming. Alright. So, I mean, how I do this is really simple. You take a hide terrain object module. I check this box off to make sure everyone, you know, has that thing hidden. I only have that checked off because I want to keep the side details to make it a little more believable. You can find that on, if you type hide into F5 under the module section, you get it right there. And then I just go over to my handy-dandy thingamajig here, and to anyone watching, this probably doesn't make any sense. But I want to say for the past since October, when I started doing stuff with 5th OML, I've had this template of every 40k object from Grimdark and TIOW is placed here, and I just copy and paste accordingly. So I'll just grab a random building that I think will fit, and then I'll rotate it around so it fits the narrative of the building. And then I'll line it up, and then boom, you got your little house. I'll check inside, make sure nothing's clipping on the inside. I can raise that a little bit because it's in the ground, and presto. Yes, it blocks some windows, but I mean, it lines up with the building. That's all I can really care about at the end of the day. If you want to do better, well, do better. You know what I mean? You can do it yourself. I don't care. It's Arma 3, man. You can do whatever you want with this game. Now, do I think anyone's actually going to go out here and go to these small little areas? No, but it's an open world, so you're just doing stuff. What kind of op is this for? I'm thinking for POG, because they want to switch to Cadians. I mean, we had the Krieg test op last Thursday, and people really liked it, but, you know, overall consensus was they want to be a little more tanky, so, you know, Kriegsman insta-dying, not really their fancy, which is fine. But I want to see how long they want to do this 40k thing, so I'm building a template here to do that 40k thing. And then if, you know, we get to a point where I have a map ready, but they want to switch to something else, that's fine. I've got another 40k community that'll pick up the slack, you know what I mean? And that's the 5th. But I've also been sticking my nose in Bo's community, and one of their Zeuses has told me they're working on his 40k project. And they literally said, like, I don't know how much you know about 40k, but, you know, that's something that we've been working on in the background. I'm like, oh, bro. Oh, bro, you have no idea. But I did offer, hey, if you want, I don't mind Zeusing something once a month. Because keeping, or I guess Zeusing for various player bases every month is, excuse me, the more you Zeus and the more varied your player bases are, the better you are going to be as a Zeus. And I always love going to new player bases and saying, like, hey, try this up, and then give me your feedback on it. And then, you know, I'll do that with so many different player bases, and those so many different player bases will get me feedback, and the end goal is that I, you know, get better and better with my craft. Of course, I have to avoid certain places because they all think I'm dog shit on principle, and it's like, okay, fine. But there's 99.5% of communities that would be happy to have me. So, it's just putting that offer on the table, but at the same time, I have to make sure I don't overextend myself because I have a very nasty habit of doing that. So I just got to make sure I don't. It's that simple. So, again, the premises is to take over the entire map, and I'm just redoing all the areas here. And then, you know, from there, I'll make things more interesting. I'll add some custom bases. I'll, you know, do some other stuff, yada-da. And we'll go from there. So I'm thinking of sprucing up the Northwest Airfield a little bit, but, you know, that village, that village.
Let's give him a warm
Oh,
up,
we're gonna have to
shall
do
we?
those two villages as well. I'll probably do that one as well, but not with the intent of getting it. But it's gonna be basically like a sweeping and clearing sort of thing, but all, you know, theme different enemy objectives based off of stuff. It all just depends. Now, when I do stuff like this, I literally will just take one module, clear out the entire area. And from there, I'll look at it and go, okay, we got some small plots, we got some bigger plots. So the bigger ones, I can, you know, take a bigger building, for example. Wedding? Ha! That is mid to late 2025. We're not going to rush. Because her mother already gave her a list of over 150 people that they want to invite. So, yeah. Yeah, the one thing I'm worried about with that is I got a floating sign right there. I don't really have much I can do about that. What I can try to do, though, is rotate that around, because I want this to line up with the broken wall segment here. And then if we're lucky, we can also get that to partially line up with that. So we'd have to do it like that, but then looking back at the wall, yeah, it could still work out. I mean, yes, it partially clips inside, but again, we're not trying to be perfect here. This is just kind of a patch job. And you got the benches in front. Yeah, it's not bad. Could it be better? Absolutely. Am I a perfectionist to that point? No. Why stress? It's the macro scale of everything, not the micro. So I'm just going to take some random buildings, take one of those, one of those. We'll take one of the bigger hubs. This is a smaller village, so it's not meant to, you know, have too much grandeur. When you compare it to something already built over here, you know, you got some industrial buildings, you've got, you know, some towers and whatnot here. There's a mix of big and small, but it feels believable. That's what I shoot for, is believable. Is this a one-time op or similar campaign? That entirely depends on how much 40k POG wants to play. And this could turn into, oh, we really like playing as Cadians, but can we try something else? And then I give them the something else, but I keep this map. And then the third week, they're like, oh, we really like this, but can we change the map to something else? I'm going to go, okay. That's why I'm saying if I build something for them, I can just then go to the 5th and go, hey, this is what you're doing today. Have fun. And that is an advantage of when you work with multiple player bases, is if one player base decides, oh, they don't want to do this anymore, you can just go to another player base you have and go, hey, I have this made. Do you want to play it? And I'd say 3 out of 4 times they'll say yes, but I've also had a few go, nah, we want to do something else. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Because as the Zeus, it's always good to have all of those options together. Never try to force something on someone unless you genuinely think they'll like it. I have very rarely done that, but the 3 times I did that where I had to kind of force something on a player base because I genuinely knew they would like it, each time they liked it. But I hate having to do that to people. And then, of course, if I can't get that sign, I'll just add a second mini little thingy to cover that. And I think for that one, based off of its height, I will have to do that. So we just shrink that down. Never. God damn it. God damn it, Ravon. Shut up. Look, there's... No. No, this is not the place to argue. There's a reason I stay anonymous, because I also do a few other things with my life. And some of them are very weird to explain. And I don't want to get into that whole can of worms right now, so I'm just gonna smile and wave. I'll say it like this, though. It's what the client wants, all right? Whatever the client wants is what the client gets at the end of the day. You're a furry, we get it? Nah. I don't know. Like any other fandom, furries are genuinely, most of them are good people. Some of them, though, are the toxic ones that ruin it for everyone else. But again, that's like most other fandoms anyway. My employers are furries? Yeah, some of them. But their money is just as green as everyone else's. And you can make that argument for both good and bad places and people, but it's still true. And, well, the money is always right. And you can apply your own ethics to that, but just saying, most of the time, the money is always right. All right. Is there anything else I want to add? It feels a little bare bones with some of these, which I guess I can add a few. Thought I had a little tower. Oh, right. Yeah, I put you out there. You're kind of awkward out there. Let's just put you in here in this little plot. We'll call it a day. Then we have another little plot right here. I'm going to be honest. What is actually there? Ah. Okay. I mean, yeah, I could fit like a ranch building in there. It's going to be a little weird on the size, but we can make it work. What if you're colorblind? It's a funny argument to make, but I'd say, yeah, the metaphor kind of loses some value based off of that, but, well, that's just how it is. Isn't there statistics where the highest payers for commissioned arts are actually furries getting other furry art? Yes. Yeah, I have friends that do commissions, and that is accurate to say, yes. I don't know if there's official statistics out there, but from experience from people that draw stuff, yeah, usually people that want furry art are the ones that'll pay top dollar for it. Yeah, so my issue with this building is it's on a slope, so I gotta pick a building that has a big foundation, but I think I can do this and get away with it because that doesn't have an internal structure, but I can... It's got the outside stairwell. I do have another thing right there. Let's get another simple building and fill that area. Right, you can also always deform, but I don't always have the luxury of working with a mod set that has deformer added to it. I would love all of those communities to add deformer, but it's kind of like why some communities still use TFAR compared to TFAR beta. There's just an ignorance of what, you know, beta is compared to the original, and you can try to educate them, but they look at you and go, no, it's fine. But again, they're the customer. I'm not going to complain. I'll work with those limitations. I don't mind. It's just that if I ever get into how would I put it? A scenario where I have two clients and one is going to listen to me and my advice, even if they pay a little less compared to another client that wants things done a very specific and strict way, even if they pay more, unless they're paying a lot more, then I'll usually go with the client that's easier to deal with. But that's only if I'm like absolutely booked, which has only happened a few times. Besides, I like the experience of working with difficult people. It teaches you patience, and at least gives me that level of training I've learned from Zeusing to put down on other people. And usually those people come around after a while, after you've earned their trust and everything, and they'll do stuff. But again, it also depends on the people. I've had someone that treated me like shit for like a year, because I was just being patient with them, and then they finally wanted something. I'm like, okay, that's not possible. Like, the way you are having me bend the interface is, like, already I was having a scripter help me out and do all these crazy things to the engine to make it work the way he wanted. And he's like, oh, can we also, like, do this, this, and this? I'm like, no. He's like, that's what I contracted you for. And I'm like, no, we're done. Suffice to say, I also hate scope creep, but whatever. Dealing with clients is a retail, yep. How much you still play with TSB, but you should come along for my graduation op. Yeah, just let me know. There's someone else in there that's hosting a specific type of campaign that I want to play. And I just told him, hey, let me know when you Zeus it, because I haven't heard yet. But it's like a similar to what I do with POG, but at the infantry level, which, you know, Makarov once Zeused for a while. Same type of campaign I Zeused for House Aden, where, you know, it's at the infantry level, you pick and choose the gear you get based off of the contracts that you do. I love building my characters from scratch off of something like that. I'm still... How do I put it? I still want to actively play in TSB, but I just don't want to actively Zeus there anymore because I just got sick of making missions and then something updating in a mod set or something breaking in a mod because their mod sets are in the triple digits and then having to redo hours of work. Whereas I could just, you know, Zeus in my own house and not have to worry about shit like that. You know? Darus's, yeah. Let me guess, he started that campaign. What days does he do that freaking campaign? I had a feeling no one was going to message me about it. Revanche, let me know. And as long as it's on a time slot that I am not doing anything important, I will go and play that campaign. Fridays or Saturdays? See, that's what I was worried about. If it's Fridays, I'm screwed. Unless he's doing it before FNF. And Saturdays, I'm open to. But what times on Fridays or Saturdays? I guess I'll just have to keep my eye out, and then I'll have to re-download the main mod set. Yay, 100 more mods. 2:30 EST start? Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to do it Fridays, but I could definitely do it Saturdays. With the exception of some Saturdays, but yeah, no, 2:30 is fine. Okay. So I'm just in the process of checking around and purging any individual buildings, which it would be easier to do it from this view, in all honesty. But I guess small shacks I don't really mind, and then you got some of these little outlets over here.
Let's give him a warm welcome, shall we?
Let's do... those 5 and see if we can make that work. How bulky is my PC? i129 00K and 480 Ti. 64 gigs of RAM. Something that I could honestly do anything with. It doesn't really need to be that bulky for what I'm doing, but when a lot of the GPU prices crashed and how do I put it? I got those parts for a practical steal because that was when the GPU market really started crashing. I was able to snag that 3080 Ti for triple digits. The core, I think only a few hundred because Newegg was running a deal and they took like 150 off. So I saw those price tags, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'll upgrade, because I'm not going to see that again. Because I was planning on doing an upgrade, saw the prices, I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll see. And then I saw 2 deals pop up on Newegg. I'm like, okay, no, we're doing it. That's dope. And I can't complain. I mean, the 3080 does run a little hotter than I would like, but CPU runs fine. It's just I'm a little careful, though, because I have noticed my CPU temperature does spike to 40 degrees Celsius when I'm doing, like, multiple hours of streaming back-to-back. It'll just slowly climb up there after 3 or 4 hours, but, again, I usually focus on doing 2 to 3 hour ops at most, but there are some days where, you know, I'll look down there after 7 or 8 hours of streaming and see it's up to 40 degrees Celsius. I'm like, ooh, buddy, that's not good. 3080. Sorry, did I say 40? Here, let me look. It should be a 3080. RTX. Yeah, 3080 Ti. My bad. Didn't mean to say 40. But yeah, I don't see myself needing to upgrade to a 4080 unless I'm gonna become a freaking VTuber or something that's gonna require a lot of GPU processing power. But I don't think that's a smart idea. I don't have the voice for it unless I wanted to do a parody character, but nah. I'm sticking to smaller futures. We're working on DayZ right now, rebuilding my personal Arma 3 community, and, you know, going from there. Yeah, I mean, this one feels a little out of place, but those other pieces should be fine. There was a single building right there, which, yeah, actually, I'll just move you to right there to compensate. Yeah, it should be fine. You got that little hamlet down there. And then we got that village. I'll probably do northwest last because that's where I have my debug stuff right now anyhow. Okay, when I say 40, I mean degrees Celsius, not degrees Fahrenheit. I thought I clarified that. I'm speaking Celsius. So, yeah. That's a little more concerning, guys. What do you mean 40 degrees is still really low? Oh. I thought it would start denaturing after 90. Oh, okay. I thought 40 was bad, but I guess all things considered, it's fine. So I guess I don't have to worry about it. Even though, admittedly, I wasn't going to worry about it anyway. It all works out. That's a little close. How much do I have to move you so it lines up kind of like that? Yeah, it's good enough. So here's what bugs me. There's a church asset, but the church asset is broken. Otherwise, I would put it there, but there isn't really a way for me to put that in there properly. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the laptop comment reminds me of this. Bloodwing, she has like the latest line of an HP. I don't know if it's an Envy or whatever. I forget. Little bastard has the laptop version of like a 3080 in it. Has a really good CPU. She uses it to play games like Inscription and whatnot. and it runs them quite well, but it burns like a mother freaking inferno. Like after 10-15 minutes, that thing gets hot. Like to the point she has something that she puts her laptop on and she has to like exchange it out because it starts heating that up so much. So, and then we hear the poor CPU fan trying to chug on. But it's worrisome because she had to get it on warranty because the previous one, when she went to plug it in after having it for, I want to say like a few months, she plugged it in, there was a visual spark, and then we smelled smoke and it wouldn't turn on, but it was partially charged already and it just completely like fried the motherboard. And then she spent a good like month going back and forth with customer service to send it in, verify that, you know, it was a faulty thing so she could get, you know, the computer back, or a new one back. And they kept stalling her and saying, oh, we'll have it repaired in a few days. Oh, we'll have it repaired in a week. Oh, we'll have it repaired in a month. And then, oh, we're going to have it repaired in 2 to 3 months. And then she finally just, went full Karen mode on him. Which, granted, I've seen plenty of Karens. No one deserves to be, you know, hit with Karen mode first thing. But, I mean, they were literally just fucking around with her at that point. And she put her fist down. And reminded me that I am dating, actually, engaged to a Greek woman, which means I better not screw up, or else my life is going to be hell. So, yeah. She ended up getting a new computer after that happened within 3 days. Now I can be overqualified to run Team Fortress 2 with a 3070 and a Ryzen 3700. Dope. That's what I love. You buy all these like super advanced components and the person at Best Buy ringing you up is like, oh, what are you going to use these for? And then they say like, you know, 3 or 4 of the latest AAA games. You just look at them dead in the eye and go, Minecraft. Or you do even better. You do even better. I was about to say worse. Better. And you go something like RuneScape. You know what I mean? Definitely. I shit you not, I was at Best Buy a few years ago, and I heard that conversation because I was in the checkout line, and the guy, the customer looked at the Best Buy guy, deadass, just went, Star Wars Empire at War. And without hesitation, I just went, my man! It's a good game. But it's an old game. But the dude had like a... He was upgrading his CPU. I don't remember what it was, but it was overkill. It was utter freaking overkill. But I mean, back then for older games, you had to have a good CPU. Because GPUs weren't really a thing. Oh, God. It's amazing what you randomly remember at 1:30 in the morning when your brain synapses are just like partially off and you're just vibing and go, oh, yeah, that happened. Neat. Any opinions on Steel Beasts? I don't know what Steel Beasts are, so I cannot render an opinion. I'm going to assume that is either a Warhammer 40k thing, a J.K. Rowling Harry Potter thing, or... Okay, it's a video game, yeah. I was completely off. Totally qualified to give my opinion. A Harry Potter tank game. That'd be dope. Can you just imagine someone in a World War I era tank, but instead of machine guns, it was just open little slits that you would, you know, fire spells out of? That would actually be kind of cool. It'd be silly. You probably wouldn't put a Harry Potter thing next to it. You put something like Dungeons and Dragons next. Well, then again, with the whole licensing bullshit they were trying to put out, you'd make it a fantasy genre thing. And that would just be one of the various weapon types you could do. You could do black powder, you can do artifice, and you know, all this other crazy fancy shenanigans. But hey, it's doable. What's KSP? My knowledge of things is very, very patchy. Well, perfect, Jeff. We were having a conversation, then you ruined it with that. So, you know what? You go to the timeout corner. Just go to the timeout
Send
corner.
in Goat Team 6 now.
What does this do? Clicks button.
Well, Alpha Wolf, you see, that is the Twitch Prime button. You see, if you have Twitch Prime, you can give a subscription to a random Twitch streamer, where they will get exactly $2.49 every time you click that button. And that $2.49 individually can get them absolutely nothing because of how inflation works in the United States right now. But hey, it stacks up. So thank you for the 19-month resub. I hope you keep enjoying the operations, and I hope you get a nice kick out of this silly little mission dev stream that I pretend to know what I'm talking about and have sanity, but we all secretly know who've been watching me for over 3 streams that I have none of that. So thank you. Let's see if I grab those. I mean, that one, we should put those in there instead, which means I want to move that and see if I can just shove this down, but it might be a little too big. Actually, maybe. Yeah. Wait. Oh, that's funny as hell. Hold on. Okay, wait. I have an idea. I have a dumb idea. It's probably not gonna work. But I could do a dead tree, but I want to do something else. I just have to find him. Yes. Yes. Oh, it's so stupid. I honest to God did that with the 370. The Micro Center guy ran me up, said, "Where are you going to be playing on this?" TF2, 15-year-old game. Saw the familiarity drain from his eyes. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about upgrading is you never know what's going to come out that you're going to end up really enjoying as well. Like, I'll be honest. I really like Warhammer 40k Darktide. Do I wish Fat Shark would put more updates on it so I could enjoy it more? Because, I mean, most pubbies are really toxic, and a lot of my friends that play the game right now don't want to play it anymore because there's not really any point to playing it because we've played everything that they've released, and they're annoyed that there should be more content attached to it. Yeah, but it's fun. Okay, yeah, that's a really bad job, but you know what? It works. We'll just say that the frickin' Space Wolves or whatever, the frickin' Russian-themed chapter or whatever, you get my point. There's something for it. I just don't remember what it is. Someone will make it work, but that someone's not me. Oh, okay. Oh, actually, that's not clipping. Cool, we're good. You're part of the reason why I'm insane? No. My own decisions, mostly outside of what I do for a living on various different degrees, combined with my own personality, are the reasons I'm borderline sane/insane. I just choose to express it through mediums like these. Or the other thing I have started doing for the past year to year and a half, which... Nah, we're not going to talk about it. Because my God, if you people ever found out about that, that's going to be a freaking time. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Anyway, let's see. I mean, yeah, the object should hide that on principle. I just got to make sure it's not floating. It's not floating. DayZ. Well, okay. DayZ is literally just monetizing the fact that I am a scared little bitch when it comes to jump scares. And I'm going to be honest, it's probably one of the smartest things I've ever done financially. Does it suck in the moment for me, and do I hate it? Yes. Do I then look at those numbers and realize I don't have to worry about YouTube fucking me over because the recessions mean ad revenues fall, which fuck over other YouTubers, and now there's other YouTubers that I used to do a lot of work with that are going to me and going, oh my gosh, have you seen how badly ad revenues have crashed on YouTube? And I look at it and go, yeah, but it's not affecting me. Do you know how much relief I get from saying that? Do you know how much relief I get looking at Bloodwing and going, you know, we're actually going to be okay? We don't have to worry about anything because of that stuff? Do you know how great that is? It's really great, guys. It's really fucking great. So yeah, I'll take the Ooga Booga pickle jars and all that fun stuff. And, you know, I'll take the hit for, you know, getting freaked out over and being at your mercy. And, you know, we're working on a pay-for-pain plan to do that. You know, stuff similar to that, where the sound bites will actually spawn in-game stuff and make my life miserable for your entertainment. But having financial security, that's the long-term benefit, guys. That's what I really enjoy. So, by all means, feel free to fund my supposed descent into madness, but I'm just telling you right now, I was already batshit crazy, so. What about baby Lirus? Yeah, Bloodway and I have talked about that. Our kids are going to be very messed up, but that's okay. That's okay. Mother works as a defense contractor who's pretty much benefiting from what's going on in Ukraine right now, all things considered, and Daddy's an idiot. I wanted to finish that one so bad. Squid, why do you keep coughing about the 501st? I haven't done anything with them in a long time. Sorry. Had a big dinner today because it was my brother's birthday. So whenever it's my brother's birthday, my parents decide, oh, okay, we're going to take you to this really nice place and pay for every single thing. And my brother, being my brother, takes full advantage of that. Line up properly! Yeah, a little bit of clipping. I don't care. I'll keep it. Man, it's been honestly fun watching your Descent into Madness over the years on YouTube. Has there been a Descent into Madness? I mean, when I look back every 6 months, give or take now, and I watch my content in the 6-month intervals, I'll just pick random videos and see where I've gone. I'll say the only thing that's majorly changed is I've become less of an asshole. And that's it. That's the only major change I've seen. Everything else has just been the same in different flavors. If that makes any sense. But hey, I mean, if you guys are seeing that, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I just, you know, just because there's a 6 on the floor and you're on the other side and you're claiming it's a 9 doesn't mean you're wrong. It's just, you know, I'm limited by my own perception of what I happen to see in front of me. And that's also partially based off of my own bias. So, you know, c'est la vie. What we see is what we see. Is that why you're bringing up the 501st? Because that one, the first op I did with them involved us doing a 2-hour op where there was not a single enemy AI placed on the ground and the commanding officers wanted us to go around and count the moisture evaporators? Is that why you're bringing it up? That's not my insanity, then. That's just the... Do we have to talk about that right now? Do we have to? Like, one of the dumbest ops, and then the only bit of action was when we, after 2 hours of walking around doing nothing, went into a debrief, and then someone threw a thermal detonator and killed almost everyone. I was laughing my ass off because it was thrown at the command staff that made us do that. Yeah. Yeah. That is literally the context. That was my first stop ever in the 501st. I thought it was going to be fun. And we literally just walked around the southern side of southern Serrani, where the Zeus only just put a shit ton of moisture evaporators in the open areas of the desert part of that map. And we just cleared through 3 towns with absolutely no contacts. And we were kept being told by our command chain that there was contact in the next area. And of course, it never happened. We also did multiple LAT air strikes into blank areas to, again, make us think there was contact, and there just never was any contact. So by the second hour, before the op ended, people just started fucking around, and I started fucking around, because at that point I was like, what the hell? And then we debriefed, someone fragged everyone, that was the best part, but it was the dumbest op I've ever played, because there was legitimately no reason for us to do anything. And we just walked around and were being lied to for 2 hours. What year was I in the 501st? Oh, God. I think around 2018? I gave it 6 months. And I went to the 212th. Stayed in there for a few months, and then after their leadership changed out and they started turning it to another mini 501st, I also left that. I want to say 6 months later, gave another group a try who was run by one of the CCs from the 501st. Had a few great ops, and then it descended into stupidity, and I literally left that op halfway through because I thought it was dumb. And then the only other remotely related thing to Star Sim I did was House Aiden for another 6 months. And I left because I got super burnt out because it's really hard to balance. It was really hard to balance them for the campaign they wanted me to make for them. But I left on good terms. But yeah, I've got plenty of dumb stories about this game. Which is why it's not hard for me to, when I look at something and people are actually ragging on it thinking it doesn't exist, I'll just ask them, like, did this actually happen? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I believe you. Like, oh my fucking God. There's been plenty of 501sts and CCO6s. Let's go with that. You just have to remember most ARMA content isn't streamed or recorded, so we don't know. It's just word of mouth, but I assure you, there's been plenty of dumb shit that's been out there. Done. Oh my God. Let's see. Do we see any potential in Armor Reforger? Why is it for the past 2 weeks people have been asking me, like, there's just been this massive sudden uptick of everyone asking me about Armor Reforger? Like, what came out 2 weeks ago to start everyone talking about it? Because Reforger came out months ago. It had its bit of hype. We did our research, and then we left. So why is everyone now magically coming back on Reforger and asking various YouTubers and streamers' opinions on it? If you don't mind me asking, like, what happened? An update with a new map. Gotcha. Okay.
Now.
That doesn't matter. Oh my God, that does not matter. You're not going to be seeing any Reforger content by really anyone for a while, because right now the game is just in a state where Bohemia has its roadmap for working on it, and modders are picking and choosing whether or not to stay with Arma 3 or start looking at Reforger stuff. And that's it. That's legitimately it. Like, there's nothing else with it right now. And that's totally fine. Excuse me, because the whole point of Reforger is to give the modding tools to the modders so they can pretty much make Arma 4 for Bohemia. I mean, that's not how they would word it, but when you look at Arma 3, just think to yourself, why do people play Arma 3? And then go look at your mod set, or your list of mods, or the things that you have to download to play on a map, and you'll answer that question very quickly. But Reforger, right now, for Arma 4 is in the same state that Arma 3 was on its first release back in 2013. No one touched Arma 3 till like 2015, because that's when it was a playable state. So Reforger isn't really going to be touched until it's re-released as Arma 4 in a few years, because by then, you know, the AI aren't going to randomly just constantly charge up to you and insta-tap you in the face. The Zeus interface will be more optimized. Mods will be out, and there'll be like 20 different maps to choose because, you know, map devs looked at it and then compared the map dev for the Infusion engine to the application known as Bulldozer for Arma 3 and realized that it wasn't a piece of shit like Bulldozer is. Jesus Christ. There's a reason why so many people cheered when Deformer came out as a mod for Arma 3, because it was just an end runaround around Bulldozer, because Bulldozer is so painful. But on the defensive side of Bulldozer, the reason why it's so painful is because in order to make all that stuff work in the first place, you're talking about stuff that, you know, was released back in the early 2000s. Like, it's so amazing how far tech has come, but it just shows you how outdated and freaking barbaric it is by today's standards. That's why Infusion is such a welcome addition to everything. But, I mean, people like me were saying, you know, literally since 2020, 2019, that if Arma 4 does come out, it's going to have to use a new engine because we can't do anything with this game engine on modern-day machines anymore. Granted, what they've been coming, like, the history of what they've come out with for things like headless clients and then evolving to 64-bit executables, and the fact that nowadays we can have, you know, hundreds of people on a server doing PvP scenarios. Karmacut claiming he's going to go for having 300 people on a scenario. Me, weekly, having 150 to 200 people on a server to do PvP events, and we see that between, you know, FNF and OFCRA and the big Russian events too. It's amazing because Bohemia has gone on the record to say, hey, we never expected people to come on with more than 16 people on a server back in 2013 when we released this game. And now, here we are 10 years later, putting nearly 20 times that amount on servers and getting away with it. Granted, there's still limitations, but sky's the limit. You just got to keep working on it. But anyway, I missed a sub. Still Cobra, thanks for the 4-month resub. I hope you keep enjoying the operations, and I do hope you get a nice kick out of this scenario, Dev. But yeah, it's crazy what's come out with all that. And the more people work on it, the more people, you know, then look at it and go, oh, wait, we can optimize it doing XYZ. And then they optimize it doing XYZ, and then it becomes more mainstream. More people then start doing it. More people find out better ways to do it. And then there's a new optimized standard that comes out, and everyone wins. And that's also nice to see because a lot of Arma, back when I started, and I would say still dominates a lot of the side of Arma, is people, when they find out about stuff, get really defensive about hoarding that information for themselves. And granted, cool, you have this one thing that no one else does, and that's dope, you know, good for you and whatnot. But then you're subject to the limitations of that single person and their fucking hubris, myself included back then. But now that more people are starting to adopt philosophies of sharing everything, it's meaning we're getting really far with what you can do with this silly game. They somehow made it worse compared to Arma 2. See, I wouldn't know because I got into the Arma series for the DayZ mod for Arma 2 way back when. All I hear are stories from people like Jester814 that, you know, were here for Arma 2. And if you ask them, they will rant about it for a good 20 minutes. And it's an interesting listen, don't get me wrong. I personally love listening to people rant about things. Even me. Oh, man. Fucking last week, someone did a really good roast on me. I was crying my ass off. But hey, shit happens. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a very specific set of circumstances you have to do to make the server work with over, you know, with triple digits, but once you get practice on that, you can pull it off pretty easily. All right. So colorful. I'm streaming for an hour. Progress-wise, not too bad. It could be a little better, though, but c'est la vie. I do what I can with the resources I am provided.
Send in Goat Team 6 now.
Always love watching your content. Keep up the good work. What is your go-to gun to use in Arma?
Broadsword, thank you for the 6-month resub. Hope you keep enjoying the operations. Hope you get a nice kick out of the scenario build. And that is a very interesting question. Let's see. Really, it depends on the mod set. If we have something where I find that something is easily exploitable, example, 506 Secret Squirrel, where they have 60-round magazines, but they're not doubled in size. In fact, they're the same size as a 30-round Stanag. I will make a broken kit, like having a 249 with 60-round Stanags, but you get the stability benefit of the 249 where the first 2 shots put the gun up and the third shot puts it down, so you can easily put rounds center mass and be incredibly accurate with it. And basically treat that weapon as just a modified assault rifle with better stability than an actual M16 or M4 platform. So that opens up an entire can of worms, though. But yeah, I'll usually try to meta a kit because... how would I put it? If it's a new place especially, or if they release an update, I usually just, for the sake of my own... I don't want to call it ego. I want to just... how do I put it? Just to see if I can do it. Just to see if I can break it. Just to see if I can bend it to my will. I will try to find the most broken thing I can. So that, for the 506, for example, I will do. Bows community. I went with the default HK416 from RHS because that gun, out of all of the M4 platforms, has the best stability and its own ability to turn itself into a marksman rifle if you absolutely need it, because I had no idea what I was jumping into. Because I looked at the stats and saw that the armor values were 1-to-1, so if you got shot, you were screwed. But the enemy, if they were Russians, which I didn't know at the time that they would be, and turns out they were, it would mean that they would be OP as hell, and it turns out they were OP as hell. So that with 262 ammo to try to defeat that body armor, but yeah, it still didn't really do jack shit. But compared to other ammo, it would take me 6 or 7 shots to kill one of the Russians. Other people would take them more than that because the penetration value of that ammo is even worse. And, yeah, people just started aiming for the head instead. But even then, sometimes the headshot wouldn't kill them because of how body hitboxes work. Ugh. If it's a CQC mission, P90. And even if it's CQC with some longer areas, you can still use a P90 and I'll put a freaking MOS scope on it. I don't care. It is a P90. It is a 5.7 millimeter round. It's shorter. But that thing, you can treat as a pocket like, you can literally treat it as a VSS. I hate the VSS and the ASVAL, though, because you only generally have 20-round magazines for it at most, but a P90, you got 50. can make a very nice fuck around and find out kit with it. Beyond that, I also like the MP7. Mainly because a lot of people don't know when they put it on the secondary is you can actually turn it into a primary weapon and vice versa if it's the RHS one. And I have been in a few missions where they're like, oh, secondary weapons only. Okay, cool, bet. I'll take an MP7 and then I'll turn it into a primary weapon like midway through the op and then, you know, also have a handgun and go, yeah. If it fits, I sits. Well, I mean, plus the P90, I get to pretend I'm fighting the Goa'uld. Even if we're fighting Russians, I'll just yell, Colonel, get down! And then spray a full mag in a random direction with enemies. Why? Because it's cool. Because I'm a geek and because this is a video game. My simple rule is as long as I am not directly shitting on anyone else's fun, I can have my own fun. But I'm very strict with that definition. But if everyone else is memeing around, I will start memeing around. And if I get in trouble for memeing around, then I can go, well, why are they all memeing around? And it's either everyone gets in trouble, or they just go, oh, okay, stop, don't do it next time. Like, all right, cool. Which I comply with until people start memeing around again. Then I meme around. I don't try to enable, but I will crack jokes. Daniel Jackson, that is illogical. Oh my god. Other weapons. Javelins. Javelins are Titans. And even though I don't like playing the certification game, I'm debating asking someone in Bo's community to get the AT cert so I can literally just be in the background with a javelin and nuke everything. Because I wanna laugh at people that use stingers in that community when they try to shoot something down and the stinger round gets flared off. Meanwhile, I'll fire a javelin at it. They won't flare it off, and it'll still hit it. Granted, it'll take a little longer, but if that unit decides to dagger cut and come towards us, javelin round will take it out. And especially if it's being flown by a Zeus, they won't get a lock-on warning for a javelin. I have a lot of fun with javelins. I mean, ever since we had the, if any of you saw the TMTM op where I was a javelin gunner, and we put like 50 to 100 javelin rounds in our inventories, and I just constantly use javelin rounds against everything. Infantry, vehicles, aircraft, everything got a javelin. It was fun. Because, how do I put this? You have the capacity to become the most overpowered thing in the AO, but if you misuse it, you are going to die very quickly, because how the AI work is if they notice you have an AT weapon, they will aim for you first. So if you are not careful while you are trying to lock on something with that javelin, you are going to get sniped by multiple static turrets. Or a squad of infantry, or an APC that's decided, hey, we're not gonna let you fire that round, buddy. Good night. So it's still, you gotta be careful with it, but if you can get away with it, then you're in business, boy. Alright, I want a little...
Send in GOAT Team 6 now.
Broadsword, thank you for giving a sub to Michael. Hope you both keep enjoying the operations. I hope you get a nice kick out of this scenario. Alright, let's see. Any go-to pistol? I'm gonna be honest, I don't really use pistols in Arma 3. And the reason for that is if I get into a situation, this is coming from someone that doesn't usually PvP, I would say the best time to bring a pistol in any Arma 3 scenario is when you're doing PvP, because that pistol can save your life. And we see that multiple times in FNF. People will draw their handguns and start duking out, but usually the person that draws it first will get the kill, especially if the other dude is reloading. But in PvE scenarios with AI, if you are in an open field situation where an AI is shooting at you and you're out of ammo, it is going to be much better for you to run to cover and reload rather than trying to draw your pistol and continue the engagement in the open. because more often than not, the AI is going to snipe you. And even if you get away with that, that's going to then tell you in the back of your mind, hey, I can get away with that, and then you're going to play more sloppily, and you're going to start making dumb mistakes. So I would argue against having a pistol. The only times I prefer to bring secondaries if I can bring a submachine gun like the MP7, if I'm going to be doing CQC with it. Like in the Bow Op, I used it as CQC in the towns because putting a freaking ACOG on it, the Pitbull, I was able to get single headshots and still, kill them in one hit. With AP ammo. Because I was taking no freaking chances, because I wanted to treat my M4 more as a marksman rifle, because that's what we were allowed to do. Sorry, I'm looking at this AO, seeing if it needs anything else. I also sometimes bring a grenade launcher, but I'm on the fence about grenade launchers, because if I have to use a grenade launcher, I'm only going to use it in like an insurgency-based op where if I put that GL round out there, it's going to actually kill them and not just wound them. Because otherwise, it's better just to, hit them in the head. Yeah, the good old quote, switching to your secondary is faster than reloading. And again, that works for PvP, but for PvE, it is honest to God better to just run to cover. And never put yourself in that situation. And if you are ordered to put yourself in that situation, just be very, very cautious and always look to where you can immediately put yourself into cover. Because there's been plenty of ops where I'm playing on the ground and we're given a stupid order and I say, hey, you sure? And they're like, yep. And they even acknowledge with me, oh yeah, it's a stupid order, but we're being told to follow. It's like, okay. And then the gunfire starts and I immediately run to cover and I watch my entire squad die. Or I'm in an MRAP and the squad is ordered to dismount and I pretend not to hear it and then I watch them all dismount and get murdered and I'm just sitting in the car like, And I'll be yelled at in debrief or, pulled into an admin meeting and it's like, why didn't you leave your Vic? And it's like, what would I have done? I have a rifle. You all dismounted in front of an APC and it murdered you. What was I supposed to do? And one of two things happened. They either agree with me, but then they say, well, you're supposed to follow the squad leader. I'm like, I know, but you even think it's a dumb order. Or they just look at me straight out and say, well, you're supposed to do what your squad leader says. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go play somewhere else then, because that's dumb. Similar to the whole, walking around on a 501st mission for 2 hours doing literally nothing but counting moisture evaporators, not shooting at anything. I'm not going to waste my time, and neither should you. But I'll be honest, at the end of the day, the best weapon in Arma 3 is whatever you are the most comfortable with for that scenario that you are allowed to take. If that is an MP5K, then it's an MP5K. If it's a Scar H, even though I personally hate its recoil, it's a Scar H because you can handle the recoil. But this game is a sandbox. Play your damn sandbox how you want to play it. That's all you need to do. Just, follow the rules of the community and don't infringe on other people's fun, and you're fine. P90 with ACOG, silencer, and long barrel. Again, it is great until you start having to engage targets beyond, 350 meters. Then the drop-off becomes so intense that you can't hit anything past 500 meters with it because your bullet's just going to fall too far. I don't care how high you have to range that scope up, you're not going to hit anything. Just go look at some of my 506 VODs. Where I tried, and it didn't work. Oh, yeah, I will also say that if you play a mission where your enemy has superior gear, superior numbers, superior medical, superior armor value, superior everything to you, you're probably not going to have a fun time. Balance is incredibly important. And here's the thing. The argument out there is, for some Zeuses, they're learning, they're not understanding that. And that's fair. But then the follow-up is, well, then you need to take the feedback and make some serious changes, because if you don't make any changes by the second op, no one's going to play that. No one's going to play that garbage. But, sometimes mods update, and there are one-offs that are horrible, because shit happens. And that's entirely understandable. That's why you have to have some people skills to then go over and say, hey guys, I fucked up. This is probably why that fuck up happened. I'm sorry I didn't check it. I didn't think to check it. but now I will make sure I check in the future. I have a list, literally a page and a half long, of things, individual things that I check. Every freaking mission. They're simple, like, make sure that checkbox is on. Make sure this checkbox is on. This one always fucks me up at least once every other month. Because without that checkbox right there, players will respawn on their position instead of the spawn point that you set. Or spawn points if it's plural. So you gotta do that. Otherwise you're gonna be SOL. Yeah, I think one item right there is fine. Looking at the rest of this. Yeah, put another one right there. But, you know, and then some of it goes into like, hey, if there was a mod update, just put yourself in the mission and test armor values real quick, just to make sure they didn't scuff anything with A's, because you'd be surprised how many times they will randomly break the armor values for stuff. And that's happened to me on multiple times, where my favorite one to quote is this French versus German World War II op I did back in 2019. I wanted to start a new campaign, and this like really pissed me off when it happened, to the point I didn't touch IFA for a few months. They had an update literally the day of my op. We get the server update an hour beforehand. We run the op, and the update broke the French uniforms, and no one could do any damage to the French. Which was a problem because the enemies were the French. So I had to literally scrap the mission. I was so freaking embarrassed about it, but at the same time, there was really nothing I could do, because there was no way in hell I was going to be able to rebuild those kits in an hour. So shit happens, and some of it admittedly won't be your fault, but the most you can mitigate, you know, the better. Sorry, I'm staring at all these buildings trying to figure out what should go there, but I think we're just going to stick with a single-story hab. But the only way you're going to learn all of that is through maturity and, you know, just playing the damn game for so long. But I like where I am now. I consult for so many different groups of players, so many different communities. I work with so many different communities, some for the interest of it, some on commission. It's fun. I get to do what I love, and I get to hang out with a lot of cool people. It sucks, though, because I'm a man of very few friends, and sometimes I get lonely, but hey. I wouldn't trade this life for the world. Oh, yeah. And when you're a Zeus, sometimes when shit isn't your fault, you will still be blamed for it, and you just gotta go, okay, well, fine, whatever. Don't argue with them, because that's what they're looking for. They're just looking for that excuse. Unless you really have nothing better to do with your time, but if you have a life, you probably have something better to do than argue with a bunch of chuckleheads on the internet. I still get random jabs from people, and I'm like, I don't even know you. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, okay. Granted, I will entertain those jabs just to see what the follow-up response is, because once in a blue moon, they will actually go, okay, no, here's what you were supposed to do. And I'm like, oh, shit, you actually know what you're talking about. Okay, cool. Like, let's have a conversation. How do I fix this? How do I get better? And then I'm better. But 99 out of 100 times, it's just someone being an asshole because they're jealous of what you do, or they just don't have anything better to do with their time, which is sad, but in this day and age, there's plenty of those people out there. So, you know, just take it off the chin. It's okay. You ever do any Anti-Stasi series? Broadsword, I'm looking into, I want to say around the summertime in my own Discord community, I'll probably put up an Anti-Stasi server, but a Zeus Anti-Stasi. Just because it's been a while and I like to do one every 1 or 2 years, and it's been a hot second since I've done one. Maybe not even till the summer. We'll see. That's just something in my back pocket that I'm going to pull out probably when other things get super busy. I'd honestly pull it out now, but I'm in the process of kind of building up my own Discord as a community. I want to get that built up first and then pull it out. So we'll get there when we get there. But yes, that is one of my favorite things to do, and we'll do it when we can. Yeah, this is slope, so I don't really want to do anything else with it, but I'm happy with everything else here, because you don't have to replicate every single small detail, but, you know, just enough to make it work out. But it also gives the room of, okay, if I want to, you know, fortify an area, I can fortify that area. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. I wonder if I could do that bridge, too. Oh, quick thing. Why do I put them in smaller sections like that instead of just doing it on the entire map? I don't know why, but Arma doesn't like it when you do that. Like, it really, really doesn't like it when you do that. So, you know, be careful. Not even kidding. Like, it'll just kind of schizo-spaz on you if you do that. Do I have a link to your Discord server? Is it invite only? Just do ! Discord, buddy. I really got to put that in the title more often. Because I'm running a poll in there right now. Let me talk about that poll, actually. If you get an Arma tag, that puts you in the Arma section. It's in the hottest LZ. That's one of the first channels you see when you get in that Discord. But I'm running a poll in there to basically kind of do a query and say, hey, guys, like, there's a lot of you in here. I'm trying to figure out why. You know, proportionally to me building that community and whatnot. But, you know, is there a subset of you that would like to play Arma, but you just don't have the know-how because you either find Ace or the base game intimidating and you want something to kind of, you know, do as a trial? Because I'm really debating, if that is the case, having a day a week where I do either a training sort of ordeal or the Friday trial ops. And I'm just trying to see if there's an audience for that. And based off of those numbers, that'll determine when I actually decide to start that stuff up. Yeah, it's going to be as aligned as I can get. But I wouldn't mind, like, every 2 weeks having, you know, hey, AT training. This is how you fire all the RHS launchers, vanilla launchers, blah, 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 with Ace. Hey, this is how you utilize the GL systems, mainly in RHS, but this applies to all GL systems. Or, hey, this is how you work a machine gun properly with sustained, suppressed, and there's a third type of fire. I think cycle fire, but I'd have to look at all my old training documents and, you know. I wouldn't mind doing that to teach people, you know, the various aspects of the game. Same with, I wouldn't mind taking every other Friday off of FNF and instead running a training op similar to what we used to do back in, you know, 2016 through 2019, if not 2020, where we would have the Tier 0 Friday ops, you know? But in order to do that, I need to build the player base up again. But, you know, to get the latest generation of Arma 3 players a skill set so they can pretty much go to any community and take that with them. Or, you know, preferably they stay with me, but, you know, I also am under the assumption that Arma 3 is much better when you play in multiple different communities, so. And also, it was funny, though, because, technically, this gets into a little bit of politics too, but the latest bow op I played, technically I broke a rule that you weren't supposed to, since I have all these different certs for equipment, I wasn't supposed to take out the demolition remotes, charge assemblies, basically the satchel charges, and use them. But they teach people in the cert how to place them but not throw them. So I argue, technically, since I threw them and not placed them, and the scope of the certification is for placing them and not throwing them, technically I didn't violate anything. But it goes to show that, you know, there's communities out there that are training people on this stuff, but they don't even understand the full scope of every single thing they can do with that asset. Because I'm going to be honest, it was fun to sit on that ledge and throw a satchel at an approaching truck and kill a bunch of dudes that were dismounting from it, and disable a BRDM. Granted, it took me a second satchel because I wasn't close enough, but it was fun. It's very fun. But, you know, it's based off of, if you learn how vanilla charges work, where you just place them with a scroll wheel, and then with Ace, you have to use the Ace interaction. But if you know, using Ace, if you want to convert them to throwable, that's if there's a certain setting on, that will let you, but if you can do that, you can turn them into throwable explosives. And those will save your freaking life sometimes. Granted, if it's a satchel and you're not careful, you'll probably kill yourself with it, but hey, it'll be cool. What is that comment from the... What's the quote from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? I think that's it with Danny DeVito. Suicide is badass. Jesus Christ. That's a good one. I'm debating putting a Titan Forge in here. Maybe up there. Otherwise, I can just use it as an industrial rig. But I mean... yeah, there's some pretty big buildings around. It's just a big grenade. But I mean, medical. I would love to teach people the real ins and outs of Ace Medical. And, like, the whole reason of why do I do certain streams where I literally, like, the first thing I'll do when I get into the lobby is, just look at the settings and go, oh, okay, and then I'll know how to kit appropriately based off of what I see in there. Like, I would love to teach people how to do that, because there's so many times where I'll just say, hey, all right, here's what you do. You hit escape, you go to configure, you go to add-ons, you go to client, or mission or server, depending on what it is. You then go to the add-on tab, you then go to Ace Medical, and then you look at the settings, and here's what everything means. I mean, I had a few people ask me questions the other day, like, oh, like, is this a setting we can switch in Arma 3? And I'm like, yeah, it's right here. Here's the file path, here's the picture. Hey, is this something we can do in Arma 3? Yeah, here's the file path, here's the picture, you can set it this, or this. Someone told me the other day I'm a walking encyclopedia for this game, and I'm like, yeah. But I need a median to spread the information. That's why I've always teased the idea of myself about a Zeus encyclopedia, but what I've learned in trying to write that is I am really shit at writing encyclopedias, so I'll just stick with video formats, and, you know, if we get that off the ground, I'll just release those videos and put them out as content. Advanced medical can be fun, but there's too many places where they put down advanced medical and think it's going to be fun, but in reality it's a pain in the ass. I would say advanced medical is fun when you are dealing with a faction that you are steamrolling. Like, you know, a counterinsurgency or something. But, you know, if you're dumb and you get hit, you pay for being hit, because you're not supposed to be getting hit. Now, if you're dealing with something like what we played in POG on last Thursday, where I was having them be Kriegsmen and they were getting insta-killed left and right, you don't need advanced medical for that. Granted, we still had it on, but the point of most of the ammo was to insta-kill them, because then they could respawn after 30 seconds and charge right back in. And one of my biggest complaints was people hated waiting for those 30 seconds. I'm like, yeah, I know you hated waiting for those 30 seconds, because you just wanted to immediately respawn and throw yourself in. But the players that realize, oh shit, I'm not invincible, let me actually take the time to get the kills and whatnot, they're the ones that succeeded more than the people that just kept blindly charging and dying. But, you know, some of those players also like doing that because it was lore accurate and they love playing a real Kriegsman. But, you know, it rewards people that'll, you know, actually play the damn game properly. You know, if you want to just blindly charge in and die, but you hate the dying part, go play Call of Duty. And I hate to sound like a gatekeeper with that, but Arma is literally meant to be a team player tactical game. You know what I mean? Granted, if the whole community wants me to make them something like that, I am more than happy to make them something like that. Let me put this under context, because otherwise people are going to bitch at me. But if I'm, you know, working for a community and they commission me to do something a certain way, I will do it a certain way. And if people bitch about that, well, they're not the ones paying me, so I don't really give a damn at that point. But still, most of the time, it's meant to be. You're supposed to be smart, not dumb. My favorite thing to say with it, though, is, wow, it's almost like my actions have consequences in this game. Whoa, look at that. Oh, yeah, you can make Ace Medical very, very forgiving. 506 Ace Medical, oh my god. Literally, you just bandage someone, you give them 15 seconds of CPR, put a blood bag in them, because their blood bags are the size of a 250 milliliter, but that blood bag has 3,000 milliliters of blood. And then you epi them, and they will be back upright as rain. God, I remember I was doing a fill-in for them, and my squad got mass cas, and I literally just dragged them all into a corner, tossed a smoke grenade so the AI wouldn't shoot me, and I brought up our squad leader. I'm like, hey, everyone's down. Do you know how to medic people? And he's like, I think I do. And then I just told him to pull security, and I mediced everyone. And then someone from another squad came over and said, hey, Liru, you're not supposed to do that. You don't have the medic cert. And I'm like, the fuck you just say to me? That's literally what I said to him verbatim. Bro, my entire squad was down. I'm not gonna call for a medic. I don't give a shit about people's realism at that. I give a shit about my entire squad being down. Ugh. God, it reminds me of a time, this is what, like, at this point, I left my billet in the 506, but I was assigned a new player to kind of, you know, show the ropes. He was a fill-in, and him and I had the time of our lives. But I was breaking immersion a few times to kind of, you know, keep them going because the op was difficult. Like, they actually made the 506 op pretty difficult. My entire squad decided to go through a minefield under GMG fire, and I'm just laughing at my SL like, all right, we're gonna die, but sure. And then he goes down, 2 other people up the chain go down. I'm the second T lead, so I start taking orders, and the platoon sergeant starts yelling at me because I was like one of the lowest ranks. He's like, why are you giving orders? And then he gets blown up by the GMG, and I'm laughing at him and go, anyway, guys, keep doing this. And I just started managing like 2 squads worth of dudes because there was a heavy mass cas. We couldn't get the GMG pinned down. I finally got someone who had access to the air control, what was it called? Apache in the sky. I told him exactly where the GMG was. We got an airstrike on it. We got most of the people back up. There were a few KIAs. My group came back, resumed command. I remember I had an admin meeting afterward, and it was like, yeah, like, we're not going to write you up for anything, but, you know, you didn't really deliver the proper experience. I'm like, bro, this wasn't a normal 506 stop, dude. Half my squad died. We're not supposed to die. Like, and then you have this new guy here, and they're saying I ruined it for him. And he's like, no, he had a blast. Did he tell you that? And like, no, the platoon sergeant did. And I'm like, oh, you mean the guy I told to fuck off after he got blown up by a GMG? Because my squad leader told me, hey, I want you as 3IC because we know, like, we all know you know what you're doing. And the platoon sergeant didn't because he thought I was just some random dude. And it's like, yeah, okay. Fun. But I will be honest, 506 ops I do find a little boring. They do their best, but the most fun ones are when those mass cases kick in and like shit hits the fan in the point like where the Zeus didn't plan for it, and then I'm like, oh, Unga, it's it's fun time. Oh, feel like Tyrell from Kung Fu Panda. Finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be legendary. And then I'm like corner camping with a stolen RPG that I've been told, Liru, don't pick that up. And then the guy that tells me that dies. And I'm like, there's no one here to tell me that I can't pick it up. Liru, you're not supposed to know how to use that. I'm pretty sure an RPG is just I point it and I shoot it, right? Yeah, I can figure that out. See, I'll never get into like a BMP in the 506 and start shooting things because at that point, yeah, I'm breaking the rules. But an RPG, it has the warhead in it. Point, shoot. I don't know what this scope is. Oh, I'm getting Wi-Fi. Let me just pull up an image on, Google. Oh, that's how that scope works. Okay, cool. You know, I was making a joke with that, but I'm going to admit to you guys, I have literally Googled range cards or Googled scopes midway through an op with a weapon I pick up just to see how it's supposed to work. And I've realized people probably do that in the real world too. They just Google the information that they need and then they use the information. So why can't I do that in the video game? I'm just going to do that. That's easy. Oh, I agree. 506 is very RP heavy, and I respect that. However, they even have gone on the record to say there's a line that you make between roleplay and having fun. And when shit is hitting the fan, I will still roleplay, and people love my roleplay when shit is hitting the fan because I get into it with people. But I will save lives. Because at that point, my job is to get my squad back up so they can continue to have fun, because our duty... As a Zeus, my duty is to make sure the player base has fun. When I'm on the ground, I'm still under that duty of I make sure the player base has fun, you know? Because I might not be having the best time, but that doesn't mean I should ruin it for other people. I should be helping other people to have fun, because if people don't have fun, they're just going to leave and go play a different video game, and then we all get screwed. So we keep people having fun. That's all. I'm trying to think, though, have I ever had a bad experience in the 506, like in terms of ops? Not really. Like, on a personal level, they really pushed me to take a leadership position. I just didn't want to, because managing... Like, I couldn't even read chat during those streams where I was managing team leading or whatnot, because the squad leader pushed me a bit too hard, but he was a friend of mine, so I let him. But hindsight, I just should have said no. And he even told me, he's like, you should have said no. I'm like, yeah, I should have said no. Oh, well. But it was stressful. And I'm here to have fun with this silly game. But I don't think I've ever had a bad op in the 506. Now, if you guys remember a stream where I did, feel free to let me know. But I just can't think of one right now. Like, I'm genuinely thinking about it. I can't think of a bad time I've had, because they're a bunch of fun people to play with. Do they get a little heavy with some of their roleplay enforcement sometimes? Yes, but I also understand it, because you need that in order to enforce it. Otherwise, people will devolve like I do. But the only reason I can get away with that is because, one, I'm a damn good RPer. And two, I have the skill set to back it up. But there was one time they did punish me for something, and I totally agree with them because I went a little too far, but I was also drinking. But that's why there's certain communities that I will never touch a bottle for, because I know I will get in trouble. And then there's some that I've also understood that the only way I'm going to get through this damn thing is if I touch the damn bottle. Hey, RJ, how you doing? But yeah, it's actually... There are very few communities out there where I can say I've not had a bad op in. Honestly, I can't think of another community where I can claim that. Either community or people. I mean... No, you know what? The only... I can also say it with Project Tension. I've never had a bad op in Project Tension. Because even their side ops that I would do... Even if they're basic, I mean, we still have all this custom script stuff to play with, and it's super fun to play with, like, you know, leaper genes and energy shields and, you know, fucking around. Even when most of my squad dies, I just go, oh, okay. I'll try to save you, but I don't know, man. I don't even know how this metagame works. I'm trying my best. Need some goats on the map. And then you put the L instead of the T. Ah, oh, terrific. I keep going back and forth here because I'm trying to figure out what I want to put. Yeah, Arma's fun. Arma's interesting. It just sucks when it gets dull. Do you ever want to cover another CTU TVT? What CTU? Are they the Hispanic group that I did the thing for? That did the, Yeah, I'd love to, actually. I will admit, it was a little slow for my taste, but that's nothing a few beers can't solve. But it was a very slow build-up. I wouldn't want to do it every week like I do other communities, but like once a month, I would be totally happy to do it, you know? You know, it's funny because I have been trained by a few people, and now I wouldn't really consider myself a dog shit pilot anymore when I actually try. The reason I still crash all the damn time in Arma 3 Zeusing as a flyboy is because I'm trying to... I play it fast and loose, and of course, fast and loose is going to get you to screw up, but it also makes for some pretty funny moments. But, oh man, the TMTM op I played in a few months ago where I was one of the air assets in a helicopter, for the first half of that mission, I was actually doing really well. And then the Zeus's turned up the difficulty, and it got a little bit harder, but it was... I only killed myself, what, 3 or 4 times? Granted, I was trying to do something in the map, and I completely screwed up, and I made a highlight about it, too, where I went out of the map, and I was in a nosedive, because I didn't notice my odometer, or whatever the fuck it was called, flip me over because I pulled back a little too far, and I'm like, oh, I'm dead. That's cute. I'm an idiot. But, you know, everyone makes those wee little mistakes. I mean, then the other pilot, he plowed into telephone pole, power lines like 20 minutes prior. So, you know, no one was perfect, but it was a good night. I mean, literally, the first thing you need to learn about RCing as a Zeus is that everything you RC is an idiot. Oh, yeah, I always blame the AI, even though it's totally my fault. I just go, yeah, that was the AI, guys. Don't worry about it. God, I'm gonna be honest. Doing my last content review was actually at the beginning of the month. I've noticed I've RC'd a lot less. Overall, there's still some ops where I do a lot of heavy RCing, but I used to RC a lot more, and I used to shoot to kill a lot more, but I don't really do that much anymore. I'll still do it if it's warranted. I mean, you have to, otherwise your player base will roll all over your ass, but... Ooh, 2018 and 2019, I was an asshole when it came to that stuff. Which it's now no surprise that there's communities out there that hate me for that. Granted, I think it's funny because some of those communities have never touched my stuff. They just see it and go, oh, he's horrible, blah, blah, blah. But they have a genuine case. Where's World War II Checkpoint RP? Yeah, so that's been on the shelf forever because I just never got around to doing it again because other things took off. Now I'm just in the process of kind of rebuilding my player base through the Arma tag so I can then host Checkpoint RPs again because I want to rebuild that and then I'll start with MCOs again and I want to say 2 or 3 months and then Checkpoint RP will follow a few months later. I will say it's gotten a bit complicated for my schedule because a lot of my time had to go to other things, such as figuring out my whole revenue stream dilemma with YouTube falling off. And now that I've kind of started securing that down, I've been now working on rebuilding my Arma community and my own Discord rather than TSB, because again, you know, I don't like what TSB is doing. And then from there, it's going to be getting back into everything else. Now, this is all on top of the fact that, I want to say, God, August and September, I had some really, some IRL stuff that I had to deal with that really screwed me up for a while. And I didn't really start getting better from that till around November and December. Which really, I don't want to get into it. It was, yeah. And then I had to work on the proposal stuff November and December for January, and that was its own ordeal. And now Bloodwind's already trying to get me to start planning every little detail of the wedding, and I'm like, oh God, woman. I promised her I would, but at the same time, it's like, well, we already said 2025. Like, we can look at some venues and shit, sure, but we don't really need to worry about that right now, goober. But yeah. Yeah, 2025, but nope. Gotta plan it all out now, and I'm like, alright, cool. As long as I got my masquerade, that's all I give a shit about. But yeah, it's just one thing I want to remind you guys. I'm a one-man show. And I will stay a one-man show because I've worked with other people in the past on various degrees, and I'm going to be honest with you. for all of the work I do and what gets accomplished when I work alone versus with people, I would prefer to do it with myself. It's just easier with how I do everything, and because I've also been burned plenty of times as well. I've also had some good relationships, but I mean those peter out. I mean, geez, when's the last time you ever saw Norden look me up, man? You love me? I love you too, buddy. It's A-okay. Ah, man. Ambi, I will never love you, though. You know what you did, and I'm never going to forgive you for that. You can still be here, mind you, but you know what you did. Anyway, back to working on the mission file. Slushy. You see, you fall in the weird category of people I've erotically roleplayed with, so yeah, you're chill. You asked, I answered. Oh, I haven't been drinking shit. This is just me at, what, 2:30 in the morning? I'm an open book, except for certain things that will violate certain people's privacies, which there is a line, but I mean, how would I word it? After a few years, it becomes an open book. If you open the door. I won't open the door for you, but yeah, if you ask. Slushy trying to slide back in. Yeah, just ask. So I will say this. I've been using someone that I do a lot of roleplay with. I'm setting up this giant Dungeons and Dragons story arc that I want to start getting into by like 2024. And I'm setting up this massive backstory for everything so I can like just have this massive plot line to basically in the middle, like all parts of that plot line, like run stuff in. And I'll admit I'm using AI art to, generate everything. And then I'm, making the stuff myself because I'm a massive role player. Admittedly, I am really great at building worlds. A lot of people love what I do for them, but I'm using one of my oldest running characters to basically set up the progenitor. How would I even word that? Basically, how that universe gets set up is based off of what these two characters are doing right now, but it's fun. It's fun. So basically, I get to play God for something, but have its own reasons, and then people will flesh out their own characters in that universe and yada-da. But there's going to be a final reveal of a few things after I decided to do the last campaign. And we're kind of setting up backgrounds of who from my already existing repertoire of characters is going to be in that universe because they're going to be part of its creation. And then there's going to be references about that in every single campaign that we do, that when we get to the final campaign, all of those references will be looked at in one form or another, and then big reveal and, fun shit. Why are we doomed? Door's always open. How is it I can get into some of these ARMA missions? Exclamation point Discord for mine. If you want to get into anything specific you see me building, just message me on Discord. I have an open door policy, and I'll let you know what community I'm running it in. This one, for example, is in POGs, but it might also end up in the 5th OML one day. And, yeah, just depends on where your schedule's open, Oh my god, though. A week ago, I got bored at 3 a.m. because, again, I've been having bad insomnia for, I want to say, the past month and a half. And I went on some open roleplay Discords just to see. Like, I always like seeing how people write things and yada-da, getting into those characters. And I saw a username of someone I recognized, and I shot them a message on my main account, and I'm like, hey, this is gonna sound random, but are you the same so-and-so from Warcraft 3 back like a decade ago, and you were part of this guild, and you worked with this one account on a lot of stuff? And they're like, how do I even word this? First off, they geeked out because they knew who I was, what I do on this account, and then they freaked out because that was the same person they did a lot of stuff with back a decade ago. And that was a really funny catch-up conversation. I'm realizing now that there's actually a lot of raunchy details with it, and I probably shouldn't get into that, but it was a really, really funny conversation. Like, oh my god. Every freaking reply I read was just fucking hilarious. But what I ended up finding out was, I back in the day, a decade ago, I used to run one of the biggest Warcraft 3 ERP guilds. This wasn't World of Warcraft, mind you. This was Warcraft 3. We used a few different game modes to run all this stuff. It was just a bunch of roleplay with, ERP as an option. But it turns out after I stopped running it, they kept running it. They went through a few other platforms, and a lot of those original members all still do stuff together, and I was just laughing my ass off over it. But I've also decided not to repartake because I've completely rebranded. And I don't want that to come up. But it was pretty funny to have that catch-up moment, because I wasn't expecting to run into any one I knew, but I'm like, wow, I used to, if you are who I think you are, this is going to be a funny fucking conversation. Oh, man. Okay, look, let's just say... Oh, sorry, random DM. 6 or I'll answer that later. Let's just say there's been a lot of funny things I have done with my life. Some of it's cool. I mean, I literally used to... I have a name on a college-level paper for bioengineering that I contributed to as a high schooler. I led a national championship team in a Cyber Patriot competition. Used to be in a... Actually, I'm not going to say that one. Used to be an internationally ranked saber fencer. What else? I used to run a pretty decent Minecraft community. Didn't get anywhere major, but I was able to sell it off, and that was as a freshman in high school. That's also where I learned never to employ your friends because they'll walk all over you. And then I did culinary school for 2 years and decided against it because that's also when Bloodwing got me out of the hole because my ex was a vindictive bitch. But I've done a lot. And then, of course, there's the ERP guild, there's working for a VPN company, and there's all this other shit I've done as well. And now I'm a YouTuber. It's crazy how all that shit works. Not just a YouTuber, I happen to be a field expert in what I do for a living, which is
let's
Arma
give him
3.
a warm welcome, shall we?
And on some unofficial and even official capacities, I've gotten acknowledgement from the almighty devs of this game that I am one of the best at what I do. And that's enough for me. I've had a good life, and I'm only freaking in my mid-20s. What am I supposed to do with the rest of it? So I've gotten into gardening, homebrew, and I'm also going to get into mushroom growing. Because I think I'll have better results with mushrooms for my indoor stuff rather than my herb gardens. But that's going to require some experimentation. Plus, I've been looking up this brand called this species called lion's mane. Apparently, it tastes like a mild lobster, but there's so many ways you can eat it. And what I'm also looking into is, especially with how prices have started inflating for grocery store stuff, I'm wondering if I'll be able to mass produce different types of mushrooms to, basically add to my diet. And then maybe I'll be able to spend less at the grocery store. Oh, okay, yeah, let me also say this. I'm not going to do anything illegal because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't actually know a lot of people IRL, so I wouldn't have any room to... Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I thought about it, admittedly, but I don't have that capacity, so there's not really any point in me doing that. Besides, if I do it legally, guys, then I can make content out of it for YouTube. And then I can combine it with my home brewing and my gardening, and I can probably start a 4th channel where I only release a video once every few weeks, but it documents that stuff. And I find that stuff cool, and I could make some YouTube revenue off of it. Granted, it's not going to be a lot, but at least I can then document it and then reference it later, and that can serve as my, you know, database for it. So, it's fine by me. Can't wait for a mushroom-fueled op... Oh my god. No, again, we're not going to do that because I don't really feel like dealing with police. But anyway. Ugh. Live stream of watching a garden grow. I'm going to be honest, I've actually thought of doing that this summer because we're going to build some raised beds outside. And I'm debating live streaming the planting process. It's just we have an issue with our Wi-Fi's range with the GoPro. Because if I take the GoPro into certain areas, it drops the stream. So I don't know if it'll be able to handle it. But again, we're looking into solutions for that. I mean, if you want to try some of my homebrew and you're in Northern Virginia, I don't mind giving it to you. I actually have a shit ton of cider homebrew, and I'm experimenting with different yeast types right now. Because I figured out a really good ratio for homebrew with yeast, and now I'm just trying to find which yeast type I like the most. Because, again, I do all these things because I like to be cost efficient. So I can literally spend like 60 bucks and make $300 worth of cider, like in all honesty. A good cider too, like stuff I'd have to import, like Magners, for example. I can just make it in bulk and also flavor it better to my own palate. Sorry, I keep flying around. I should be going back and forth to buildings here. I'm just getting caught up in my own damn head. Same with gardening. I don't buy herbs anymore because I literally have my own indoor herb garden. If I need rosemary, thyme, sage, parsley, basil, I just harvest it and use it. And if they overgrow, I just harvest them, dry them. I mean, I still have a shit ton of lemon thyme that I grew last summer. And I use it for like garnishes on cocktails or flavoring like lemon chicken or anything that requires a lemony flavor. I just add some of that lemon thyme to it and it enhances it. You know what I mean? Email you some cider. God, were it so easy. All this time you thought you meant D&D homebrew? So I have in the past built do-it-yourself homebrew D&D campaigns for people for roleplay reasons. I don't really do it anymore, though, because they take up a shit ton of time, and time is the one thing that I actually don't have a lot of anymore. And it does suck, too, because I was starting something with a friend of mine that we never actually got to really go past the starting side of, because my frickin' life just kind of took off for various reasons. And that was, I want to say, 10 or 11 months ago? I forget. But I literally had everything set up for it, and I feel so bad about it, but at the same time, it's like, I can't do anything about it. Bro, righto, Voka, righto. I'll hit you up if I'm ever around then. Bildrix, thanks for dropping by. Have a good night. But yeah, no, I'm no stranger to creating my own elements in Dungeons & Dragons campaigns just to make them work. Though I will say the only campaigns I have actually technically dungeon mastered have been either those solo campaigns or 40k campaigns. D&D, in terms of like, you know, Pathfinder 3.5 or 5e, have been, I've only played those. Alright. I've also noticed I've become a lot less efficient. Because I've been doing a lot of talking. Not a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, TSP actually has a decent system for D&D. It's just, I hear it's 50-50 because some people just don't, they stop showing up after a few weeks, which is granted over the internet. That's bound to happen. Why did you black screen Mr. Monitor? But hey, you know, c'est la vie. It happens. It's gonna eat the bench. We just hide the damn bench in the building. It's fine. It's like 3 o'clock-ish. No, I don't want to put any ruins. I'll let the player base make the ruins because they can blow them over. Unless there was a ruin piece right there, then I'll put it on top. But it's not needed. Alright, if I were to put some supply depots, where would be a good place to put them? We can put one right in the middle right here. Just have it line up with everything. Oh, and I'm waiting on the freaking Fallout mod to update. Oh shit, we got this stuff, so I can just try to plaster that on. I'm waiting on them to update so I can run another Fallout thing, but I'm not sure. They keep pushing it back, but that'll be running my community. But good freaking god, like, Wait, there's a Fallout tabletop game? That sounds awesome. Does it run on Tabletop Simulator? Oh, where it's so easy. Oh, wait, no, that's a town I already built. Huh. Now, can I fit that based off of what I have set up here? Nah, it doesn't really work unless I delete you. That would be the only reason they would have something like that there, so that's fine. It gets right in the sidewalk, though. Yeah, whatever. Partial on the sidewalk, it's fine. I never claimed to be a good building planner anyway. Alright. Back to building so I can keep up. I mean, this has been a near 2-hour stream. Granted, for 2 hours, I think I've done a decent amount. There's still probably another 2 or 3 hours worth of work for this mission file, but when we're talking about converting entire maps, yeah, tends to happen. But now I know how to export them because Icebreaker just told me how, so I will be exporting these so that eventually, when I finish the entire map and decide to release the entire file, which I'll do a test of in a week. Actually, no, within the... Yeah, no, I'll say in a week. I try to give myself larger build times for stuff. I want to see if it'll work because I already have a map fully converted for the 5th mission, which we were supposed to run the other day, but server borked and, you know, we had to deal with that shenanigans. But yeah, c'est la vie. It's just added stuff to the sidewalk to make it look nicer. Don't you love it when the shadows actually kind of line up for what you need, so... Granted, it's a smaller building, but it all works out. The Imperial cult matters not about your pre-established road plan. That's freaking funny. Alright, let's see. I just like going back and forth, adding a random building, you know, fitting it on a certain area, and then, you know, look at it as a macro thing, maybe make some adjustments and go from there. But yeah, it's fine. Spot right there. Let's take another small one. All right, chat. You got any other topics we should randomly bullshit about? Otherwise, I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream after I finish this down and lay in bed. The Emperor was in the modern day. What type of car do you think he would drive? I don't know, but Cats, I can tell you this, he would be the Giga Chad meme. You know what? Fucking... Bloodwayne, during our cuddle session, decided to randomly look at her phone because we both like to watch a certain YouTube channel called SCP Explained. And she's looking through a feed, you know, for something for us to watch, you know. And she usually gets boring. We just cuddle it out or talk and have some sort of philosophical conversation, blah, blah, blah. But no, she sees a thumbnail where it's SCP-096 versus the Giga Chad. And I literally just look at it. I look at her and I just go, no. 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 So, of course, we watch it. But if the Emperor of Man were to exist in modern day, he would just be the Giga Chad. That's all you need. Have I been watching The Last of Us? No. I know of The Last of Us. Haven't really watched the show. I might actually, though, because I do love zombie thrillers. And I will admit, I did have a campaign I was working on that was going to make something similar. But I didn't know they were making a Last of Us TV show. That was news to me, and I was like halfway through the campaign because I was going to use the cordyceps fungus idea, and I'm like, ah, shit, all right, people are going to think I'm ripping that off, but fine, fuck it, free publicity. But I have something for that later on, so we'll see. God Emperor, of course, for your Giga-chan. What is KSP? I don't know what that is. But yeah, Cats, in terms of your original question, I have no idea. That's also tied into the fact my specialties are Eldar, but Ancient Eldar, Eldari, and Slaanesh. Because that's where my characters ended up getting tied to. Oh my freaking god. Anyone part of that first freaking roleplay campaign in the 700th, you can say the name Azurus to them and they will start flipping a shit. Ah, good times. Good times. Feckin' space elves. Yep, I know. The Giga Chadmobile. My god, what have we done? What have we done? Kerbal Space Program. Ah, I've actually never played it, but I do remember my buddy Alistair in my cybersecurity group. He was our Linux guy for our team because every team needed a Linux guy because they'd always have a Linux machine that you'd have to, whatchamacallit, secure for the competition. And he would spend every session on Kerbal Space Program just screwing around. And he's in Australia now, but I would just watch him play Kerbal Space Program when I got bored. But, I mean, that man could secure a Linux machine. But most of our lessons were for Windows machines because not even the instructor really knew how to do Linux. So he was just like, yeah, I got it. And he would just play Kerbal Space Program. And I'd watch him, try to rescue his his little, I don't even know what they're called, Kerbals? When something would happen. I remember, though, for our final competition, he literally didn't do anything, because it's a 6-hour competition. He didn't do anything for the first 2 hours, because we were told that they might dynamically change stuff halfway through the scenario. So he's like, yeah, okay, I'm just not going to touch it, and I'm just going to do it all last second. So he does it all last second and he gets a perfect score. And I'm like, you fucker. He's like, yeah, just wait for the Windows guys to be done and I'll do Linux and it'll be fine. Oh, man. That cybersecurity competition was funny as hell, though, because we started in, like, dead last place, and then our instructor yelled at us, gave us a motivational speech, and then we got first place. It was literally a freaking Hallmark movie. And then the school refused to let me keep the trophy because they wanted to keep it for future generations. Like, no, fuck you. Give me my trophy. And I was this close to breaking in and stealing it, but then my parents were like, yeah, they're probably going to actually get you in trouble if you do that. I'm like, yeah, fine. You're right. That was when I actually cared about that level of merit and bullshit, but no, just a piece of, honestly, plastic. I don't think it was even metal. Speaking of the big E, any options for new TTS stuff? I like it. What do you mean by that? What do you mean I got Gordon Ramsay'd? I should try Kerbal Space? Well, maybe. We'll see. There's plenty of games where I've told people, yeah, I'll look into it, and then I never do because I simply don't have the time. And I just hate breaking those promises, so I just stop making promises because I'm going to be honest with you guys, my job can change on a dime. Something major can happen tomorrow, and then my schedule gets completely thrown out of a freaking window. And I'm honest when I say this, it happens a lot more often than I would like, but it happens a lot. And it pisses me off that it happens a lot, but it happens a lot. So, I'm SOL when it comes to that. What do you mean by Gordon Ramsay? Here, let me check my... Oh, you... I'm gonna kill you, Slushy. Anyway. Let me make my missions. I've gotten on the habit of occasionally checking my phone because Bloodwing gets mad if I don't immediately text her back. Yet, when she, and I brought this up to her, and she doesn't get as mad anymore, but the hypocrisy was whenever I texted her and she was in a meeting, she wouldn't check during the meeting. But it's like, if I'm streaming, consider that my meeting, because I'm actively doing something, honey. Like, please. Please don't get mad at me. I am just trying to work on my job. Right outside. But also, please understand, like, I just don't have a lot of time. And when I do have time, I usually get pulled in by the first person that hears that I have free time. Example being, I'm playing The Forest with a few people. And I played The Forest way back when it was on, like, version 0.29. And, I had fun with it with a few friends. And then I dropped it because I, had other things to do. And they did, updates were slow. I came back into that game, and I'm like, oh, cool, the cannibals are still here. And they have my son, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, Liru, what do you know about this game? And I'm like, oh, yeah, like, they kidnapped my son and shit, right? And I gotta get him back from the cannibals. And they're like, oh, you sweet summer child. And, yeah, I've been slowly learning how naive I am in that game. And, it's terrifying. That game is actually a little terrifying to me. I never went in the caves. I hate the caves. I really hate the caves. But yeah, no spoilers. I did find a worm. And that was also terrifying. Because apparently if you're on an island and the worm is on the mainland and it aggroes on you, or you swim to an island to get away from it, it follows you. If you go into a cave, it follows you. They follow you. Anyway, it's, yeah. Yeah. It's terrifying. But yeah, I'm debating possibly doing a stream playthrough of that on the hardest difficulty. Because that is actually one of the few games that I will say, yeah, you need to know what you're doing if you're going to play the hardest difficulty. Because most games, I'll just play on the hardest difficulty for the hell of it. That one, ha! No. Forest jump scare stream, exactly. I don't know. I'll have to... See, here's the thing. The sound guy, I know where he is. He got mad at me because I figured out where he was and I wasn't supposed to, blah, blah, blah. It's fine. I'm not going to say where he is, but he's going to be gone for a few months. Hopefully, he'll still be alive. But... when he comes back, I'm not saying if, I'm saying when, because, you know, hopeful. There's a few ideas I want to post to him. But it's also going to depend on, you know, after a few months, what his life's going to be like. So, you know. C'est la vie. Just wait for the Sons of the Forest to come out. So I've heard there is going to be a follow-up game, and it's based off of stuff in the main game, which is why I'm asking for no spoilers, but... my immediate guess, it has something to do with the sun, but, I mean, like, as a follow-up game, I mean, what would be better? But, again, no spoilers. I want to see it for myself. I want to kill the red cannibal man. Even though I don't think he's a cannibal. Because I keep finding red paint everywhere, but I digress. Alright. Let me look at the map here. I do have that little barn. I can redo that barn later, though. I have that little complex. I might just sleep on it. Let's keep it small. Alright, it's 3 a.m. I'm gonna be honest, I am not tired, but I have like 20 Discord DMs to deal with. And I'm gonna go get the freaking anti-horny hammer for some people. But hey, c'est la vie. Yeah, I think there's a few extra spots I could put some more stuff on, but in terms of a rough build, because I do these in 2 phases. One, I do the rough build like this, and then the second one is I'll literally like fly over to a place I've already built and go, okay. From a visual perspective, if I have my camera low like this, does this look good? That's out of place. I'm going to remove that, replace that with a Warhammer 40k rack. But everything else looks fine. So I'm actually going to make that change real quick. And I need to go to the rec section. Where did I put my Rex? Let's put a simple Rec Chimera there. Because, you know, it's a BMP, it's an APC, Chimera, APC, tomato, tomato. But yeah, I mean, that's sizing up quite well, so we still have to finish that town, do that town, and then do the military base. Which will be interesting. I'm going to probably replace all those with the guard posts, and, go from there, and then, you know, section by section as I decide to do them. But yeah, should be fine. What's the shadow area? I can set it to hide stuff from the mission. So I use that to replace all the buildings and other assets that I feel like, such as this bridge. Oh, that's interesting. So it's aerial clipping, so I gotta heighten it a little bit more. Yeah, I'll do that. Little bump, but that means there's no clipping from the sky because that sometimes confuses air. Any World War I option planned? No, because on the polls I've done, they're some of the lowest rated ops I get, so I have no plans for World War I at this time. All right, let's get that saved, and I'm gonna wrap it up here. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Go operate operationally. Tomorrow morning, expect there to be some DayZ stuff, and then a Vietnam up, and yeah, that'll probably be it. But otherwise, cheers, guys. Have a good one. Go operate operationally.